tell you how much I love you? That's really all I want to say. To Mimi and MK and Wesley and the incredible NPN staff, the esteemed board, the network partners, everyone who worked so incredibly hard to make this weekend possible, just thank you for your love. So, are my presenters in the house? Make some noise. Are my cultural organizations in the house? Make some noise. Are my foundations in the house? Make some noise. Most of the money went home. What's the deal with that? We love you. We love you. And are my fellow artists in the house? Where are y'all? So I just want to say, artist to artist, that y'all did your thing this weekend. So moved, so blown away, so inspired by the work. Just thank y'all, for real, for real. So there are so many people in this room who I know and love and have had the privilege to laugh and cry and work and struggle side by side with over many, many years. And then there are a number of you that I had a chance to meet this weekend and fall in love with. And then there are some of you who I did not get an opportunity to be face to face with, but I promise you we will fall in love in the future. This, for me, is really, really special because I see this as my family. And I see the conversation that we're going to have tonight as a family conversation. When Mimi first called me and we began to sort of talk about the possibility of me coming and bringing remarks at this year's conference, we talked a lot and very candidly about the tumultuous year it had been. Really tumultuous year. And one of the things that she said was, you know, it would be great for you to sort of sum up the pulse of the weekend and you know, sort of what were the core conversations or dialogues that we were having as a community. And it would be also great for you to talk about art and activism. So I'm gonna take that on a bit because what went on this weekend was really monumental, quite honestly. But I'm going to do my best. And then the other thing I want to humbly offer is what I see for us in this time, in this new page, in this new stage. This is an incredible moment. And it isn't just an incredible moment from a social, political, and economic perspective. It is an incredible moment from a spiritual perspective. We are moving into a time of unification. And as the silos fall away and the dismantling of structures that we've seen dominate for years and years and years and years begin to crumble, we want to understand that it is making way for a new paradigm. The agony that we feel is sort of kind of like we are pregnant, right? Like we as humanity are pregnant. And we are now in labor. And we are sort of holding the agony of the process in one hand with the bliss of what we hope will be the final result in the other. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that. But this is a very intense time. It is a time of great hope and a time of deep anxiety, right? MK quoted Charlie Dickens, my man, Charlie D., at the beginning, right? Talking about this is the best of times, this is the worst of times. Amen. This is the shaking and the waking up and the igniting of human evolution on to the next level. And we need to call it what it is, we need to see it for what it is, and we need to honor it for what it is. Strange things are going to happen in this time, y'all. It is a time of insanity and a time of miracles. I want to give you an example. Last week in Chicago, there was a company called Republic Windows and Doors. Some of y'all know about what I'm talking about. And this particular company came to its employees, many of them longtime factory working employees, and basically gave them 3 days notice that they were closing the plant. What they acknowledged or justified as their reasoning was that the Bank of America had cut off their line of financing and credit. So therefore, they were not able to offer any form of severance or any form of vacation pay. This 200 plus largely Latino community of workers staged a 3-day sit-in where they used the time to clean and beautify the plant. The governor, Governor Blagojevich, am I saying that right? Yeah, Blagojevich. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Governor of Illinois, that's why I said it's sanity and miracles here, decided to side with the workers and went to the Bank of America and basically said that the state of Illinois will not do business with you unless you resolve this. 3 days later, management comes to the table with the governor and the Bank of America, and the Bank of America and JP Morgan together write a combined check of $1.75 million to cover the back benefits and lost wages of the employees. 3 days, $1.7 million, solidarity with the government. Talk about a miracle. In an interview, Carl Rosen, who was the union spokesperson, said that this is not about money. This is about what is possible when workers come together and stand for justice. Now, 2 days later, this same governor, that part I may not need to tell you about, right? Well, 2 days later, he was arrested for allegedly accepting bribes, or the potential of accepting bribes in terms of filling Obama's vacant Senate seat. So as I said, we are in a time of miracles and insanity. And part of what is important for us to understand, like what is the lesson that we can take from this, is that our challenge is going to be to stay awake, alive, and aware, to keep both eyes open and both hands on the wheel. The consequences are just beginning to be felt, y'all. The subprime lending scandal, the callous offshoring and abuse of skilled and unskilled labor here and abroad, the fossil fuel, blood-soaked business frenzy, along with the barbecuing of the planet, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the 1.3 million troops who will be turning home to no reintegration strategy. These are just some of the chickens that are going to be coming home to roost. This is a time of spirit. This is a time of unification. As part of this unification, what we can also begin to see is the convergence among different sectors and movements in society. So we see the environmental movement now all of a sudden talking to the social justice movement. We see the altruism of nonprofit and the 501c3 sector caucusing with responsible enterprise. We notice the principles of Eastern ancient spiritual philosophy and wisdom intersecting with Western cosmic science and technology, all with the potential for a new reality to unfold. This convergence is going to land in something called the fourth sector. And we are going to see a surge of new for-benefit companies being born. These companies are going to integrate the hybrid of beneficial products and services, sound, profitable business strategy, and philanthropic mission. It will truly be the best of all worlds. Now, these ideas have been around for a really long time, but they are just beginning to move to the fore. So this language I'm giving you now, I want you to just start to listen to the conversations that are happening as this new lexicon begins to bubble up. Within the context of the fourth sector, which is something that venture capitalists right now are scrambling to figure out how to capitalize on, just saying, there will be a new set of values labeled as responsible capitalism. And you are going to hear people start to talk about something called the triple bottom line. The triple bottom line will reference the intentions of companies who are committed to producing profitable results for people, profitable results for the planet, and profitable results for business. This sector is being fueled by the green rush and the lifestyles of health and sustainability markets. The branding of the conscious consumer as Whole Foods goes prime time and eco-luxury stakes its claim with Leonardo DiCaprio and a baby polar bear on the cover of Vanity Fair. I want to take a minute to give a shout out to Allison Warden. Thank you so very, very much for giving us a cultural context for understanding that incredible region of the country and part of the world, really, and that beautiful animal. Thank you. What we will also see is a counter to the eco-luxury movement, labeled as the eco-equity movement, with my brother Van Jones, and Green for All, and Majora Carter, and her dedication to greening the ghetto, first through Sustainable South Bronx, and now through the Majora Carter Group. So this is all moving forward, and it is all in the new language now. The revolution is officially upon us. And I believe that with all the marketing and branding and sectors and analysis, that there is one very important shift that it is crucial that we keep our eye on. I believe that we are moving out of the age of the celebrity and into the age of the citizen. And what we want to understand about that is that people are going to be less consumed with wanting to watch Britney or Lindsay unravel, and they are going to be more concerned with, as my girl Irene quoting Sekou said, the possibility of life, liberty, and the pursuit of something new. For us who aspire to create new forms of power and agency, we will want to be engaged around how we can raise our own platforms and make our own brand of contribution. In addition to the low-Haas and green economies, I believe there is another intersecting economy that is emerging and one that is deeply relevant to us. And there is a sacred body of work necessary to access this new economy, and with it, this new brand of empowered citizen. Joe Pine and James Gilmore, godfathers of the experience economy, call it the economy of transformation. Business offering the promise of change. Customers are no longer going to be interested in products. Those who are engaging and participating in this economy, they are going to be the product. And they are going to be interested in being guided and facilitated by a transformational process that brings them closer to their dreams and aspirations. Michael Gerber, author of the E-Myth, rants that the entrepreneur is the new revolutionary. I love Mike, but I want to correct him a little bit. I say that the social entrepreneurs are the new revolutionaries. And that, my friends, is us. So now I want to tell you about why we rock. Or as we say in hip hop, this is why we hot. We have always been about this. In our values and our ideals, we have always been in the business of dreams and aspiration, inspiration and imagination, about power and voice and agency, and the wisdom that we have gained, nourished, cultivated, and been practicing in the margins for years will become crucial to disseminate and share as this new set of values and ideas makes its way to the center. That's the truth. I want to say that again. We have always been in the business of dreams and aspirations, inspiration and imagination, about power and voice and agency, and the wisdom we have gained and been practicing and cultivating and nourishing in the margins for years will be crucial to disseminate and share as this new set of values makes its idea and ways to the center. Now in the breakouts, you all had a lot to say. Y'all had a lot to say, and I just want to encapsulate a little bit of the moving dialogues that we were engaged in. In the Getting Obama-sized, or Obama-ized breakout session, y'all talked about the need for real political engagement, accountability, and representation. You talked about the opportunity to really engage this leadership in the belief that rather than in the Reagan eras where arts were the first to go, that we were really going to be bold and say that they needed to make a greater investment in the arts as part of their economic recovery. Kathy D said, and I love this, I quote, "We are not victims. We need to reclaim our civic process." She went on to say that arts and education needs to be expanded into a real commitment to arts and culture and the recognition of its impact on the revitalization of communities. The return of cultural diplomacy was another thing that came up at my table when we looked at opportunities for deeper, broader political engagement. As we know, the war on terrorism has wreaked havoc on the quality of our international exchange and artist visas and the challenges that all of us have faced in the context of artist visas has been at the top of the list. In the Giving Voice to Community session, the need to strengthen and become more deliberate about community engagement was talked about as a vital part of playing our role. NPN having an opportunity to lead here by expanding the expectation of artists' work in community. Scott Turner talked about, Scott, I don't know where you are, Turner, where are you? That's all I want to say right now. Okay, my man. So Scott Turner talked about creative models and strategies for outreach and engagement that included Facebook and MySpace and colleges and recognized community leaders and the intention of an impact that is good for audience development, i.e. business, and also good for community. Jose reminded us about the importance of documenting our work and becoming more intentional about the ways that we share our practices and ideas. In the hybrid careers in the arts session, Teo talked about the importance of honoring teaching artists, not as an equivalent to flipping burgers, but rather as an intentional commitment to cultivating great new artists and great new audiences. He went on to say that George Bernard Shaw had a quote that said, "Those that can do and those that can't teach." But he was walking with Uta Ogden's quote, who said that only those who can teach. All of the sessions emphasized a commitment and dedicated focus to empowering youth as a central part of the strategy, both long-term and short-term. The overarching themes of these dialogues were about recognizing our power, valuing our contribution, and encouraging greater internal and external investment in every aspect of our engagement. I want to add, and I want to encourage us to think beyond the field of the arts. As I mentioned at the top of this section, we have wisdom. We have wisdom. And we have an opportunity to bring art to places we never imagined. We have the opportunity to use our talents and our gifts and our strengths to be an ambassador for real change. During my travels this year with the Hip Hop Mental Health Project, which is one of the initiatives of a nonprofit I co-founded called 1+1, we had the opportunity to tour the nation and be in deep communion with communities and audiences who came out to see the shows. What I can tell you is that people are suffering. And they are not only suffering from something that is diagnosable or something that can be prescribed for, but they are suffering on a solar and cellular level as the societal, cultural estrangement and isolation has set itself into the center of people's lives. They are looking to be healed. They are looking to be heard, seen, valued, validated, and they are looking to be transformed. We have a tremendous opportunity to lean into this moment. Through this work that we've done, we surprisingly got a call from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration of the federal government. And we are now talking with the federal government about how to use an arts-based civic transformation strategy to figure out how to transform the quality of compassionate and culturally competent care for its consumers and their families. Now, if you asked me, would I ever be rolling with Jay-Z or P. Diddy, I would tell you, listen, you know, if the strategy may be rolling with the feds, I'm just saying. But there are revolutionaries. I can testify that there are revolutionaries. And when I tell you that this is a strange time and a time of miracles and insanity, believe me, they are asking us what to do. And it is a beautiful thing, let me tell you. We know the power of what we do. We've seen it in the eyes, in the hearts, in the conversations of our people. We have bared witness to people transforming before our eyes. We must trust this wisdom. We must trust the power and the value of what we do. And we must be willing to take a new level of leadership, not just in our field, but in the matter of our nation's transformation. So, what is the work that we still have to do? What is the work that we still have to do? As revolutionary social entrepreneurs, our new empowered citizen movement, fully realized, is going to rely on three key things. It will rely on our ability to move people closer to the truth of themselves, their vision, their mission, and their purpose. It will rely on our ability to move people closer to one another, the building of authentic community. And it will rely on our ability to heal and foster the healing of the cultural wounds of scarcity and separation. In the aesthetics panel's discussion, there was this question posed as cultural diversity versus excellence, which some felt was really about addressing the impact of racism in the arts. We have an unprecedented opportunity to have this field lead by leading deeper into the mythology of these divides. These are social constructs: race, class, geography, gender. Lean into the divides of commercial versus traditional or community art, of age versus artistic merit, of professional versus grassroots, to dig deep into the divides of politics and generation, and even sometimes the perceived divide of presenter and artist and consultant and theater and community space and mainstream nonprofit and ethnic cultural center. We have a chance to do our very best work right here by healing and transforming the angst and tension that exists within us, within our communities, and even within this room. There is so much pain and disappointment that lives in these constructs. The competition for space and resource and validation, the never-ending need to prove that we are worthy and deserving of an opportunity, the anger, hurt, and cynicism we feel from perceived and real rejections, the fear and anxiety that prevents us from taking risks with ourselves and each other. Many of the marketing and audience development challenges we face lie in these divides. Many of the leadership succession challenges we face lie in these divides. We have a monumental moment before us to help usher us into this process of unification, to heal these wounds and hold each other accountable to a higher vision, one where we recognize and take full responsibility of our power, our beauty, our grace, and our brilliance. At the risk of being totally cornball, there is no separation. We are all part of a larger, magnificent consciousness, expressing itself through each of us nobly. Nobody is expendable, no matter how angry we get or how right we think we are. When the moment of power falls into our hands, we have a responsibility to remember this. The world is abundant. There is enough for all of us. In the moments of grants that fall through and fiscal crises and the threat and reality of recession and the collapsing stock market, we can easily forget just how vast the universe is and just how many incredible resources we have at our disposal. Money is only a social construct. What lies at the core of currency is appreciation. The more we can divinely appreciate our talents, gifts, and blessings, the more they will appreciate. We are in a time of insanity and miracles. I want to tell you a little story. It is November 5th, 2008, midnight. And I am on my phone dialing. After the third ring, I hear the booming, jubilant voice of my 81-year-old father. He is up past his bedtime. Did you see it? He asked me. I asked him, how does it feel, Daddy? He said, oh, child, I never thought this day would come. I never thought in a million years that I would live to see it. I laugh and I tell him, as I tell you, buckle your seatbelt. This is just the beginning.